Welcome to Go Beyond Betty. So it occurred to me, or rather, people told me, I didn't really go into the full explanation of what sourdough is. You just want the bread. But I really kind of needed to explain the background and how you get to what is a starter. So let me take just a few minutes to explain that kind of whole thing, what it is, the process behind it, how you get one, and then maybe you can make your own bread. So let's do that first. Okay, so yes, I look like I've changed in the last few minutes. Something after 40, you just spill on yourself all the time. So I just spilled tea on my down here, so that's why I'm covering up with my hair. Normally I would always have my hair back in the kitchen, but for you, I don't hold back. So I want to talk a little bit about what sourdough is. You can actually make your own. It's way easier to get some from somebody, and I promise you, it's easier to get than you think. I've had people just post it on Nextdoor, like, hey, does anybody have sourdough starter? I've had people just come to my house, get a little Ziploc baggie of it, and never saw them again. People are always willing to share their sourdough, so don't be afraid to ask around. If you know somebody that makes it, they'll always just give you some, because it's nothing to them. So I always keep my sourdough in the fridge. I typically bake maybe once a week, and I talked about this last time. In between the time that you use it and you have it in the fridge or even on the counter, it's going to separate a bit, and you can see it's kind of this weird brownish liquid called hooch. So let me pour that off because it's really ugly. Hang on one sec, and we're back. Okay, so if you look up closely, I'll just use this. So this is a Danish whisk. This is what I was telling you that my mom loves, especially, and I should have used this for the waffle episode. You could really get in there and you don't have to use a traditional whisk. And this is obviously way easier to clean. So if you look in here, it kind of just looks like wallpaper paste, because it is. At this point, it's starving. It has a little bit of an alcoholic smell to it because it's hungry. So it's needing more carbohydrates to digest to create the gases and things, ethanol. I don't even know all the things that it does. But that's how you can tell, like, this is just dead. You can use this though. I will put below maybe a recipe for sourdough pancakes, and they're awesome. You can make delicious homemade pancakes. I would say they're almost in between a crepe and a pancakes. They're not super fat fluffy. They're not paper thin, but they're just a nice thin-ish, and you never feel like super stuffed. Like you can eat them because this bacteria has done all the work for you of eating all those carbohydrates that make you feel really stuffed and bloated. Honestly, I never feel that way with pancakes, with the bread, with pizza dough. It's really nice. That's why I just love sourdough. And it is totally different from yeast. So yeast is really fast acting. Sourdough is slow. It is a type of yeast as well, but it's just a totally different type of yeast. What else I want to talk about with this? So if you want to start your own, I will also put something down below in the description. Again, it's typically always an equal ratio of flour and water. That's all starter is. Equal flour and water and time. So if you have a starter that's already established from somebody, it's way easier to just feed it and it's already active. If you're making your own, the method is kind of tricky. You're doing equal, but you're starting with like a quarter cup of flour, a quarter cup of water. The next day, you're supposed to throw half of that out, feed it again, a quarter cup of flour, a quarter cup of water. Next day, take half of it out, throw it away. I don't like all that wasting. You know me, I don't like to waste a single thing. So I just find ways to use it. So one way is those pancakes. There's a couple other things. I'll either put below or maybe I'll just do another video on it. But you can tell, like I said, there's no bubbles in here. It is hungry and it is time to be fed. And that's why I developed my sourdough bread recipe, so it uses a lot of starter. Because if we need an equal amount every time, if you're starting with 6 cups of starter, then you need 6 cups of flour and 6 cups of water. That's just too much. I mean, I use this container, always use glass by the way. This container or another one, that's all I have for putting it in there. So I always want to use it as much as possible. So right now I'm just, again, gonna kind of look at the side, eyeball it. Mine is very active, even though it's been dormant in the fridge for a few days. It'll come back instantly. So I want to bake this afternoon. Right now it's around 9-ish in the morning. I want to come back by 3, maybe, give or take. It's very flexible. And then make a couple loaves of bread, put them in the fridge before I go to bed so I can bake them fresh in the morning. So that is our plan. So that's how starter is. It's just flour and water and time. That's a wrap. Do I have anything else to say? Oh, hey, show me mixing it then. I like my higher sided glass container, but that is being used right now by dirty water in the sink. Oh, I'm full of jokes, Tommy.
So why glass?
Good question. Why glass? Well, I think there's something with metal that you don't want to, I mean, just like you wouldn't put opened canned goods in the refrigerator, so you don't want to use metal for anything that you're going to like keep in the fridge. You don't want plastic because plastic absorbs food flavors and stuff. Glass, I don't know. I'm a huge glass fan. Mom, this isn't working so well. I think this is better if I had like a huge big thing. And yeah, and most of you at home aren't going to have Danish whiskey either.
Well, you can't really whip it in that short.
I can't whip it real good. Sing it, Tommy.
I will say on home brewing, we use glass because you're working with bacteria and you're culturing bacteria and yeast. So plastic has little tiny crevices and glass is much easier to clean. So
someone's getting their second master's degree in about 2 or 3 weeks, and it shows. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Oh. I try to make things nice for you folks, but it lets you know how much people on TV, they mess up all the time. They just edit that stuff out. I want to be real for you folks. All right, this I think is good enough. I think the Danish whisk probably does a much better job when you have a dough and you're really trying to get that whipped around. But I'm always happy with a fork. Then I can easily kind of scrape the sides. Boom. So I'm coming back this afternoon. We'll make some bread. I've already done that for you though. In the future, I will show you a baguette episode that I cracked the code on the baguettes. They aren't as pretty as like Italian amazing baguettes, but you know me, I do it in like 5% of the time. So that's all I have to say for sourdough today. But I'll post this, and if you want to make some, if you know that you're gonna see me this summer or sometime, I would love to give you some sourdough starter. Oh shoot, I did want to show you one more thing. All right, so I forgot to tell you a little bit more about storing it. So I tend to bake once a week, so it's totally fine to feed it when I'm done with using it and put it in the fridge. It probably could go 2 weeks. 3 might be pushing it. So to save it, you can't put it in the freezer. You definitely can't leave it out. So the only way that you can preserve some, or that if you like tried to order some from somewhere, is to dry it. So I would take this right now and just smooth it out. I love it that you can already see some bubbles coming up. I would smooth it out on parchment on a cookie sheet and just let it dry. Don't put it in the oven like hotter, and just let it completely air dry. And then you're gonna be left with these pieces. So from this, you can restart some starter. So what I would do is I would take several of these. I don't wanna use all of it because I don't want to, chance not having some of it. And then I would just put in a bowl like this. And same thing, I'd add water, I'd add flour, and it would be several days process to get it really active again like this. But this is how you can just get some starter from other people. My friend Melanie gave me these. I haven't used them yet because we're gonna move in about 3 weeks, so I'm really excited to try them. Mine is from Italy. It's delicious. It's not a super tart, tangy sourdough. It's just light and so flavorful. This one is from a chef in DC. It used to be called Emil's, now it's New Moon. But one of these, let me see which one it was. One she said is like super funky, like this is your sourdough lover's sourdough, like tart, tangy, wild. And the other one is really floral and fruity. So I think when they made the starter, they used a pear, and so they took like the sugars and starches from the pear. So it's a very light, more floral, fruity starter. So I'm excited when we move to have all 3 going and really kind of see which ones we like best, what other people like best. I just love making it. It just makes my heart happy to make it all the time. So thank you for joining me. No intro exit this time. This is it. It was a live show. I should have went live. I've never done live before. I probably mess up all the time. It'll probably be fun to watch. But I'll see you again soon. Thank you again for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, how can I help you? What do you want to learn? What do you want to know? And I will figure it out if I don't know it. And I would love to teach it to you because that's what I love to do. I love food and I love teaching. Ask me. I'm here for you, okay? We'll see you again. Bye. rush the end a little bit.
Say hi, pup.
Hello and welcome to Go Beyond Betty.